So how do you buy your first home? Before we get any further, stick around to the end. I'll tell you why the background is orange. That's exciting. This is probably the most asked question I get from my clients. So I've kind of broken it down into 3 stages. You have the plan stage, the find stage, and the close stage. Step 1, plan. Now in this stage, you're probably wanting to go out and look at the homes and go do all this stuff, but before you do anything, you need to save some money, because buying a house, although it might not be as expensive as you think, does cost money, and you will need to start saving. So for a $400,000 home, you typically need 3.5% to qualify for like an FHA loan. That means you're gonna need $14,000 just as your down payment to buy a house. And the second cost that comes up that maybe people don't budget as much for is closing costs. Closing costs are when you buy a house, you have to pay fees. None of this stuff is actually free. People get paid to do things like escrow, to go and appraise houses. All those are part of closing costs. And usually I suggest around 3%. So if you're looking at $14,000 for your 3.5% down for FHA, let's just say double that. Might as well have a little extra cushion, that way you're safe. So to buy a $400,000 home, you would probably need around $28,000 just to go ahead and get the process started. Once you have that money saved, you're ready to start actually looking for a house. Step 1 of that is probably finding a good real estate agent, because if you find a good one, they'll be able to guide you through the process, and they'll be able to connect you to the vendors you need to be connected to get this done. Second is you need to talk to a lender. This could be your bank. This could be a local direct lender. There's lots of different options here, but you want to talk to them to figure out how much you can afford and how much of this is actually going to cost you. Step 2, this is what I call the fun stage. This is plan, find. This is the find stage. This is when we go out and actually start shopping. Your real estate agent will probably set you up with an automatic alert, so all new listings get messaged to you. If you want, these are the kind of things you work out with them. You can also find listings on Zillow or Redfin or anywhere else and just mail them to your agent and say, hey, let's go look at this house. They'll schedule showings. You get to go out and look at them. Imagine yourself living there, horrified about what you see sometimes. You get to go out and experience all these different homes and imagine yourself and what it would be like for you to live there. And let's say you finally find the house that you like, that you want to buy, that you think is going to be awesome for you and your family. So let's say you put an offer in. That means you can write up a contract that says, hey, I want to buy the house for this amount of money. There's other things that need to be done when you're closing a house. For example, you're going to want to inspect it to make sure the house is up to the condition that you want to live in. So you're going to put all those different terms in this contract. Your real estate agent will help go through all these with you. You put them all in, and then you send it out to the seller and say, hey, sign this because I want to buy your home. This is how much money I want to spend. It'll be amazing. Let's do it. The seller will either accept it or reject it or counter it. Eventually, let's say you guys get to a point where you guys both have terms that are agreeable. You're both signed. You now open escrow. So exciting. You're almost ready to become a homeowner. Escrow is when things start moving fast. So there are specific dates called out in your contract of when things need to be done. For example, you need to get your home inspected. And there's a certain amount of time that was written into the contract on how many days you have to get that done. So you have to call them up. Hey, yo, inspector, can you go inspect my house and tell me if it's nice and habitable to live in, or is it like disgusting and terrible and I don't want to move into it? Okay, thanks. See you Monday. Schedule all that stuff. Depending on the house, there's different type of inspections you might get. Your loan might require a termite inspection. There's just the general home inspection. If your house is on septic, you're gonna wanna get that septic certified. Is it on well water? You wanna get that tested, don't wanna be drinking arsenic. So there's a whole bunch of tests and different inspections that you can do during this time. Also just drive up and down the neighborhood, see is it cool at midnight? Are there like creepy people hanging out there? Look it up for like Megan's Law, see if there's any creepos living next to you. You get to do all this stuff during the inspection time. When that's done, we sign a thing saying, yep, everything looks good, the house is great, I want to buy it. The house then appraises, which means that the lender sends out an appraiser to go out and he looks at the house and he compares them to other houses that have sold recently just to make sure that the house is worth what you're offering to pay it. Because the lender, he's not going to want to lend extra money for a house if it's not worth it. He only wants to lend up to what the house is worth. And so the appraiser's job is to basically determine, is the house worth what you're offering to pay for it? If it doesn't appraise, you can then go back and negotiate again. Hey, Mr. Seller, can we lower that price a little bit because the house isn't actually worth that? Or perhaps you love the house and the way the market is like it is now, you just pay the extra cash out of pocket for the difference. So maybe there's a $3,000 difference on that appraisal. You pay that $3,000 out of pocket. So after the house appraises, there's also a loan contingency, which means that you have the ability to actually get a loan on the property. After the inspection contingency is released, after the appraisal contingency and the loan contingencies are all released, we then move forward. The loan funds, which means the money gets sent to the seller, and then escrow closes, you get the keys, and you, my friend, are now an official homeowner. I also want to note that I just gave a kind of high-level overview of escrow. There's a lot of other little steps that go through that process. Now, why is my background orange? Because my daughter's so stinking cute and my wife likes to take cute pictures of her.